Money is a pretty important part of your life, and today we're going to be talking about how to make the most of your money. So before we get started, I want you to think about your bank accounts and if you have bank accounts. So how many of you have a checking account? And how many of you have an actual savings account? And how old do we need to be to have these accounts? My name is Sharon Myers, and I'm a senior financial education specialist at Virginia Credit Union. My job at the credit union is to teach kindergarten through 12th grade students how to navigate through their finances and make good financial decisions. So today we're going to talk about topics that I get a lot of questions on from students when I'm in the classroom, and hopefully this will clear up some things for you. And if not, we can do a question and answer, and you can certainly get in touch with me. My email is right here, sharon.myers@vacu.org. You may email me, and I will, if you have a question or a concern or a problem, you can use my email address to get in touch with me. So the first thing we want to talk about is accounts. What is the difference between a bank and a credit union? And this is a question on the WISE test when you take personal finance, and I go over this in great detail. So a bank is a for-profit financial institution, and they have to make money for their investors. And a credit union is a little different. A credit union is a member-owned financial cooperative, and it is not for profit. Now, that doesn't mean that a credit union doesn't make any money. What that means is the money that we do make at the credit union goes back into services for our members. That means you get lower rates on checking and loans for things that you borrow money for. And also, it gives you free access to your accounts online and mobile banking, and all of the services don't cost you any money. So, checking versus savings. Most of you probably don't save money at this point, but it is a habit that you should get into. You should always have a savings account to put money into. You don't have to be a certain age to have a savings account. You can open a savings account at any time. And some of you probably have a savings account now that you put money into. But a checking account is a little different. A checking account is where you put your money and you can have access to it you put it in, take it out as many times as you want during the month. Also, you get a debit card and some checks to go along with your checking account. So let's talk about opening this checking account. So I get a lot of questions throughout classes like, how old do you have to be to have a checking account? So there are some age requirements. At the credit union, you could be 13 years old and open up a checking account with your mom or dad on the account, and also 14 years old. But when you turn 15 years old, you can actually open up a checking account in your own name without your parents being on the account. However, you will need a few items to take with you to the bank to open up this checking account or to the credit union. So you need to bring an ID. Now, when I say ID, I mean a government issued ID, such as a learner's permit or a driver's license or a passport, a military ID, or some of you have IDs they don't give you permission to drive or anything like that, but you got it at the DMV to prove you are who you say you are. So those 5 things are considered government issued IDs. Now I get this question a lot. Mrs. Myers, what about my birth certificate? Your birth certificate is not an actual form of ID. It doesn't have your picture on it. It does have your name on it, and it does have the day you were born on it, so it does say how old you are. However, there is no picture of you on your birth certificate. So that is actually not a good form of ID when you're trying to open up a bank account. You also need to know your Social Security number. Now, this is a 9-digit number. You will have this number for the rest of your life, and it is used to pay taxes, fill out job applications, fill out college applications, fill out any scholarships that you're applying for. You will have to have the Social Security number to do all of those things. You do not have to actually bring the Social Security card with you to the bank or the credit union, but you will have to know what the number is. So the best way to keep this number safe, and since you're going to be using it more and more the older you get, is to memorize this number, 9 digits. That's what your Social Security number is, 9 digits. So when you get to the bank, you might have to make a deposit into your new checking account to make sure that you take cash or check to the bank or the credit union. So how do you use your checking account? Well, you're going to use your checking account to pay for things. So a lot of you use cash now, and that's great. But sometimes, and if you're like other teenagers, you're carrying around a wallet, and that wallet's probably not the safest place to keep all your cash, especially if you're going to be working and cashing in your paycheck. You can't just put the cash in your wallet and carry it around because it's just really not a safe thing to do. And I know that, you know, a wallet is kind of sometimes hard to keep up with, and the next thing you know, you can't find your wallet and it's got all your cash in it. So you want to make sure you put most of your cash into your checking account. The next thing is checks. Now, at your age, you're probably not going to write a lot of checks, but you will have checks that go along with your checking account. Now, when you write a check, it is considered money, and you will have to have money in your checking account to cover the check that you write. The most used thing is your debit card, because you can use that pretty much anywhere. So your debit card is attached to your checking account, and when you use it, the money comes automatically out of your checking account. So if you're going to pay for something through the drive-through or go shopping and use your debit card, you will get a PIN number, and you can make the PIN number whatever you want, and you will pay for things, and that money will come right out of your checking account right then. So if you don't have any money in your checking account, you probably should check that before you start using your debit card. Because if you don't have money in your checking account and you try to use it, you have the potential to overdraw your account. And you don't want to do that because they will charge you a fee for not having money in there to cover your purchase. So make sure to check your balance before you use your debit card. And then some of you are familiar with credit cards. So a credit card is not attached to your checking account. In fact, when you use it, it's not even your money. So you are borrowing money from the credit union or the bank to purchase things. So you will have to pay that money back. Now, you have to be 21 years old to get a credit card. And we're going to talk about credit cards a little later on in this presentation. Now, some of you can pay for things online using your debit card, which is fine if you're on a secure site and you know you're aware of it is a secure site and you know it's a real site that you're buying from. I like to say that it's not a good idea to put your debit card number to do shopping online. It's much better to use a credit card, because that way the credit card company, in case something should happen, is responsible for getting the money back. But you do have the option now when you have a checking account to actually buy things online. So it is better and safer to use a credit card when you're purchasing things online, but you can use a debit card if you know it's a secure site. So why do we need to save money? What are the advantages of saving money? So if you are saving for a big purchase, like a car or college, or maybe you're going to move out of your parents' house someday after you get out of high school and get your first apartment with some friends, or maybe you're going away to college and you're going to live in an apartment. All of these things are reasons to save money, because all of these things cost a lot of money. So if you're planning to buy a car or go to college or move out of your parents' house, you might want to start saving money now. Because when you put your money in a savings account, it's going to get you some interest on that money. So the more money you have, the more you're going to make in interest, because the bank or the credit union is going to give you interest for the money that you have in your savings account. You need to be specific and have some goals when you are setting your savings plan. So this is called the SMART goals. Specific, have a specific goal that you want to have in your head that you're going to save. So let's say you say, all right, before I go away to college, I'm going to save $3,000. So you have just now been very specific on the goal that you are going to plan on saving. And it's measurable because you can see how much you're actually working and saving towards that goal. If the goal is not attainable, like if you are never going to get there, you're going to get frustrated with it and probably not do it. So make sure that when you're saving, that you're saving at a reasonable rate, not unreasonable, because if it's unreasonable, you're probably not going to do it. So make it reasonable. Say something like $50 a paycheck or $25 a paycheck to put in your savings account, so that that's not your whole paycheck and you still have money to spend. And make it relevant. You know, you're working hard, you want to save money, so make it have some kind of meaning, like in the end, you're going to get that car, or you're going to go to college and have money to spend while you're there. And put a time limit on it. So, you know, 2 years, I'm going to save $50 per paycheck. So when I, you know, want to get that car, I'll have a nice little down payment. Or maybe you're going to have the whole amount. But that's totally up to you. But put a time limit on it, because forever is kind of a long time. All right, how can you guys earn money? What can we do to start making some money? Because everybody likes money. So if you're not old enough to work, you can still get money. And yes, sometimes you just ask your parents and they'll give it to you, but most times you're going to have to earn it. So there are some things you can do before you actually get a paycheck to earn yourself some money. You could do chores, babysit, cut grass, pet sit. Maybe you're good at math and you could tutor somebody and get paid to do that. All of these are ways you can earn money now before you turn 16 or 14 or 15, when you're actually officially able to work. So age requirements to officially start working in Virginia, and by law, you have to be 14 and 15 with a work permit to be able to work. So this work permit, you can download it online, get your parents to sign it. This is a requirement by law. This piece of paper, this work permit, will keep you from being underpaid, so they have to pay you minimum wage, and it'll keep you from being overworked. So the requirement for a 14 or 15-year-old is 20 hours per week during the day, which kind of limits a 14 or 15-year-old during the school year, because during the school year, during the day, you're at school. So you won't be able to work during the week, but you can work on the weekends during the day, up to 20 hours. Once you turn 16 or older, you don't need a work permit, and you can work when needed. You can work at night, and you can also make minimum wage or more, and there's no restrictions on when you can work. So 16 and older, you can get a job and get a paycheck. Now, some of you might be working now. I find that in high school, a lot of kids, the older kids, have part-time jobs while they're in high school. So this form may look familiar. This is a W-4 form that you will have to fill out before you start working. So you will put your first and middle initial in this box and your last name. And right here, again, is that social security number that you're going to have to put in there, and your address, city, town, zip code, all of that. And you will be single, so you would mark that box. At the bottom of this form, you will have to put a deduction amount. And that deduction amount for you, until you move out of your parents' house and are independent from your parents completely, you will put a 0 as your deduction amount. Now, this form, you will also have to show that ID, again, the same one, the same 5 ones that you can show when you get your checking account. And you will have to actually have the Social Security card to fill out this, because they will make a copy of it to make sure that they are able to take taxes out of your paycheck. That's what this form is for withholding purposes, for the IRS to take taxes out of your paycheck. And you do not have an option. This is not an optional form. Everybody who works and gets a paycheck fills out this form. Now, there are multiple pages with instructions and all kinds of stuff, but what the portion that you need to fill out is up at the top, and then you will sign it at the bottom and make sure it's filled out completely. If you have any questions, there's also a website that you can go to, and that's at the end of this presentation. All right, when you get your paycheck, you're going to earn a certain amount of money per hour, or maybe they're going to pay you a certain amount per week. That, what you earn before they take taxes out, is called your gross pay. That is the amount you earn at the job that you have said you will work. Now, when you get your paycheck, this is your take-home pay, and the net pay is money you receive after the taxes have been taken out. So on your paycheck, you're probably going to have a gross amount, which is the amount you actually earn, and then the actual amount of the check is going to be your net pay. So there is going to be a difference because they will take taxes out. So be aware that your first paycheck will not be what you totally earned. It will be what you get after taxes are taken out. All right, I get this a lot. What is credit? So it's not just a credit card. If you don't have money right now, and this is how people pay for things when they don't have the money, they can buy something now and pay for it later. That's credit. If you need to borrow money, you can get the money up front and then pay it back in monthly payments. That's for big purchases like cars and houses and boats and RVs and jet skis and things like that, motorcycles. You borrow the money and you pay it back on a monthly payment until it is paid off. So credit can be a good thing, or if you don't pay it, it could be a bad thing. So we are going to watch a video, and it is going to explain how we get this credit, how it is calculated, and how it is reported.
A credit score and a credit report can come from one of three companies: Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion. You can retrieve a free credit report from each company once a year at annualcreditreport.com. A credit report will list everything you need to get a good reading of your overall credit, but if you want your actual credit score, you'll need to pay extra. It's important to know how a credit score is created. A FICO credit score consists of 5 components. The biggest category is payment history, which makes up about 35% of that score. If a late payment is reported to the credit bureaus, your credit score will lower. The next category is amounts owed, which is about 30% of the score. This involves your debt to credit ratio, which is based on your total outstanding debt divided by your total credit limit. About 15% of the score is length of credit history. The longer you have a loan or credit card, the better this looks. The last 20% is evenly divided between new credit and different types of credit used. New loans will lower your credit score in the beginning, but over time, as payments are made on these loans, your credit score will improve. If managed wisely, it is a good idea to have a variety of loans, like a credit card, a car loan, and even a mortgage. Different types of credit will help improve your overall credit score. Helpful tip: a good way to build credit without paying interest on a loan is to establish a credit card with your credit union. If you make purchases every month and then pay off the full balance, you can pay no interest while improving your credit score. With time, diligent payments, and responsible spending, anyone can have a great credit score.
Okay, so now that you've watched the video, you know how it's calculated and you know what makes up your credit and how it's reported and how you get the credit score. Let's talk real quickly about credit cards. What are the pros and cons of a credit card? Now, you will hear a lot of people say, oh, credit cards are bad. You shouldn't have a credit card. That's not necessarily true. The good thing about a credit card is it can build your credit and make your credit better as long as you use the credit card in the right way. So you can purchase things on your credit card, and if you pay the whole balance off, it'll make your credit score go up. But if you purchase a bunch of stuff on your credit card and then you can't pay it back, it will make your credit score go down. So when you're applying for a credit card, you do have to be 21 years of age to have a credit card in your own name, unless you have a cosigner on the credit card, meaning mom or dad, or maybe your brother or sister, that will cosign in case you can't pay the bill. Or maybe you are going to get out of high school and you're going to get a full-time job and you're going to work that, and you can show proof of employment, then you can apply for a credit card. So what should you look for when you're getting this credit card? So at the credit union, if you apply for a card at the credit union, there are no fees associated with that credit card. But other financial institutions may charge you a fee for the credit card. So you want to make sure you know what that fee is for just having the credit card. And they usually charge that once a year. It ranges from anywhere from $40 to up to $400 for the really high dollar cards. So at 21, you probably don't have to worry about that, but you do want to know how much am I paying per year to just have this credit card. Also, you want to know what the rate is that you're going to pay on interest. So the store credit cards, and if you go shopping, you know what I mean. There's all kinds of stores, even Target, Walmart, they all have credit cards, and they charge a rate for that credit card, an interest rate that they're going to charge you on the purchases. So sometimes it can be up to 25% on those store credit cards. Dick's Sporting Goods, Macy's, Walmart, Target, all of those stores are pretty high interest rates on their credit cards. So your credit union or your bank is going to have a lower rate, but you still want to know what that rate is before you sign up and say, yes, I want this credit card. So make sure that you do your research before you get the credit card, you know what the rate is. And they're going to assign you a credit limit. So when you're first starting out, that credit limit, and that's the amount that you can spend on the credit card, the maximum amount you can spend on that credit card. So let's say your limit is $500. That's the maximum amount you can charge on the credit card. You can't go over, and if you do go over that limit, they are going to charge you a fee. It's called an over the limit fee for going over the limit that they gave you. So be very careful, know what the credit limit is that you have received so that you don't go over it. Now, in order to keep a good credit score, you don't want to spend more than 30% of your credit limit, which means, why did they give me the big credit limit if they don't want me to spend it? They really don't want you to max out your credit card and spend all the limit that they give you. So be very aware what that credit limit is. So we have learned a lot today about general money, and I want to give you some resources at the end that will help you navigate through that whole credit card process and find the one that is right for you. Now, we want to know how we can establish credit. This is a big question that I get. When you turn 18, you will start establishing credit and you will have a credit score. Now, it's not like grades where you start off with an A and if you don't do well, it goes down. This one starts off down at the bottom level and you have to work your way back up. So credit scores range from 300 to 850, and you're going to start off pretty low when you start establishing credit. So you want to make sure you have a good relationship with your bank or your credit union. That means you didn't overdraw your account, you didn't transfer your savings to your checking every day, or get charged a fee for transferring money out of savings because you can only transfer but so many times. Sometimes you can get a secured credit card and you put the money down. So let's say it's $500, you put the money down, it's secured for that amount, and then you can use the credit card and pay it back every month. This establishes good credit for you, showing that you are able to put the $500 down and you're going to be able to pay for the things that you bought on that secured credit card. If you have a student loan, once you start paying back that student loan on a monthly basis, that starts establishing credit for you. So if the student loan is your name, once the payments start being made, that will show, and you have to pay them on time, that will show that you are a reliable, credit worthy. And I like to tell kids, gas credit card. If you can get a gas credit card and you're buying gas anyway, get a gas credit card, charge your gas on there, pay it off every month on time, and that will start boosting your credit and give you a better score. All of these things will establish good credit so that later on you guys can buy those big purchases and borrow money to get cars and houses down the road. So lots of times you don't establish credit and then you're ready to purchase that first car and they check your credit and they say, oh, we can't give you the money because you don't have any credit, which means you haven't done any of these things to start making your score better. So as soon as you can do that, the better off you are for borrowing money later. All right, here are these additional resources that I was talking about. At our website, vacu.org/learn, there are articles on all kinds of things. There are calculators to figure out how much money you can borrow. Mint.com spending plan, there are ideas on how to create a spending plan if you're not sure. IRS.gov, that is where you will find your tax forms. okay? Not just the W-4, but all the tax forms that you will need and the instructions on how to fill them out. Salary.com, this is where you can research careers, find out how much certain careers make, and you can find out how much taxes are going to be taken out of your paycheck, out of that salary. And then annualcreditreport.com, which was mentioned in the video. This is where you can get your free credit report when you turn 18 years old. This will not have your score on it, but you want to make sure that all the stuff that's reported on your credit report, and when you pull it, it's annualcreditreport.com. It's not going to cost you anything. You can look at your credit history and make sure that nothing on there is not correct. Sometimes there'll be something on there and you didn't actually do it, and that's what you want to know before you start looking for credit cards and things like that. So again, these are your resources that you should look for, and if you have any questions, you know how to get in touch with me, and I wish you luck. Thank you.